Hello and welcome to another episode of the Landscaper Growth Show. My name is Mark Lamberth. I'm your host. I'm talking with Carson Tinsley at Top Cut Landscaping in Richmond, Virginia. Carson, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, I'm absolutely glad to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. So we've been chatting here before the show. Definitely up to some interesting stuff. I would love to hear, before we get into all that, just kind of the story of how you started the company and what services you provided for your customers there in Richmond.
Yeah, so our story is nothing that different from anyone else's. 16 years old, the guy cutting my grandmother's grass, he needed someone to run the weed eater, and I was like, hey, I need a job. So I worked with him for quite a bit. And throughout that process, I was like, hey, I can go do this for myself. And, started knocking on the doors in the neighborhood and just stopping random people out while they were cutting their own grass. Like, hey, it's hot. I'm sure you don't, want to be doing this, but I'll do it for you. And of course, at that time, we were super budget friendly, if you will. But to make a long story short, that's really where our core and foundation came from.
Love it. And then what services do you provide for your customers there?
So at this point, we quite literally do anything from, hardscaping. We haven't broken into aquascape yet, but we do hardscaping, we do lawn care maintenance, we do a lot of big landscape installs. What I tell our people that ask, hey, what all do you do? We do anything from mowing your grass weekly all the way to a $30,000 backyard. If it fits into that realm, we can take care of it and or we know someone who can.
Wow, amazing. How many people do you have on your team right now?
So right now we've got guys that are full-time. I've got because whatever, it sounds fancier than it is, but we do have a fractional CIO as well as one of my very good friends who I've known for quite some time. He owns a landscape company that is part-time. He's got the entire truck trailer, all the equipment. So on bigger jobs, when we need extra hands and equipment, we bring him in. We throw him a couple bucks, and it's a very small operation. We run lean, but with that being said, it's fun and we do enjoy it.
Love it. So, you got started here at 16, right? Early, and you've been running this business here for a long time. And you're a young guy, but you've already run the business here for years. We had chatted here a little bit before the call. You're at this point considering selling the business, or you're kind of in the market to sell. Is that right?
Yeah, we're certainly in the market to sell. We've had a couple offers that more or less have fallen through due to the fact that when we happen to be in the right place, right time, happen chance, what have you. But we were offered about 130 grand as the first offer. Some of my friends, they love small business. They wanted to buy us out and take it over and all that. And then I kind of learned how you actually sell a business. And I realized that 130 grand was pennies in the bucket as to what I built is worth.
Uh-huh. Okay. Any thoughts on the valuation of what it would be worth?
So as we sit right now, just based on a couple different evaluations that we've brought in other people for, as well as my own understanding now, we're sitting right around 500,000 in worth between assets, contracts, EBITDA, and all that other fun stuff.
Man, I love it. Taking notes here. This is awesome. Amazing, Carson. So, I'd love to kind of unpack this a little bit. So, lawn care company, lawn care guy, they start their company, they, have got high hopes and get into it. It's pretty intense work. I think a lot of folks are thinking about, can I sell this someday, and how would I go about that, and sort of, what is it worth? How have you gone about? Have you been kind of building the company with the intent to sell it? Is that kind of the idea?
So
Is that how you started it?
to just be completely transparent, when I started it and went full time in it, the goal was to make 100 grand a year, right? Because that's the illustrious 100 grand a year.
Right.
So the goal was actually like, I never really set a goal out to sell it. However, once we were presented with the offer, I was like, wait a second, that is a thing. And in addition to that, I was in a position in life to where I was actually strongly considering moving out to Denver, Colorado. And with that being said, I my motivation for moving, as well as realizing that, hey, we did build something that other people might want, those two things colliding really put me in a position to look for, hey, there are people out there that are willing to buy what we have, as well as they kind of also opened my eyes to not being burned out, but just understanding that your work for the most part here is kind of done. You got a lot more than you set out to, and now you have an opportunity to do something that you didn't realize was possible, which a lot of people, in my opinion, would love to have that opportunity.
Man, that is incredible. So at a 500K valuation, thereabouts, that you've, have put together with your metrics and things, can we kind of unpack that a little bit? I'd love to know, how is that kind of built, right? I mean, typically these, there's kind of industry metrics and things of sort of what people will pay. I'm sure you put plenty of thought into this. Kind of that range of valuation. How is that typically built for a lawn care company?
So, I mean, obviously, like the clear and simple answer is, we all have the trucks, trailers, equipment, all the assets, right? One of the slightly disheartening factors that I came to learn, facts that I came to learn, is if you go and buy a brand new lawnmower for 12 grand a day and someone wants to buy your company, usually whatever your assets are worth brand new, they're going to value it at about half that. So that's one part of the equation. The other big part that not only is relevant to selling, it's also relevant to, finance equipment, financing anything, lines of credit, what have you, is your contracts that you have, right? Which in the earlier days, we would put people on a 12-month contract. Hey, your annual lawn care landscape program is, say, 3,000. We split it in 12. After about 2-3 years of that, we realized that we weren't breaking even until about August. So we then reduced it to a 7-month contract, which once again, to the best of my knowledge, contract is as good as cash. And knock on wood, at our status of today, we do have the resources as far as attorneys and people to have a really rock solid contract that it upholds in pretty much any realm of what we're talking about. The other thing that I came to learn that I did not understand, I would say kind of a half step in this, is we really, really, really have been diligent on ensuring that we are as debt free as possible, because having debt as a company, yes, it can be a good thing. There's a lot of factors with that, but when someone wants to buy your company, if you have an astounding amount of debt, and like, let's say your top line's really high, your bottom line's pretty decent, but you have this whole load of debt sitting in the corner, that can really affect the sale price, despite what your EBITDA is, which leads me to the next point. EBITDA, which for lack of better terms, right? I'm not trying to use terms I don't know, but EBITDA is essentially your gross profit margin. And my understanding is, in our industry, it's roughly on the high side, a 2.5 multiplier over the last 3 years, right? So this past year, when I was really, dead set on selling, we focused on getting our EBITDA as high as we could, switching a handful of our kind of higher ticket customers over to contracts, and then by and large, once again, we did not incur any additional debt that we didn't need to do.
Man, amazing. Where did you learn all of this stuff about how to sell business?
I would have to say, number one,
Mhm.
obviously content like the podcast that we're running right now. Brian's Lawn Maintenance, Caleb Allman, he's got a podcast. Dave Martell, they're online that have given astounding, just amazing content. But
Amazing.
as far as
Hermosa.
as far as around me, once again, my fractional CIO, his name's Wayne Brown, and he's built several companies anywhere from 300 grand a year all the way up to, I think, 23 million a year. He sold a handful of companies, and when I really came to him and was like, hey, this is the next move I want to make, he really explained the process, as well as just walking me through it and giving me the different resources as far as what he did in the past and the rights and the wrongs of what he experienced.
Wow. Okay. So what's next? I mean, you've had kind of a couple of offers, gone through that kind of process. Now you've realized that your valuation was even low, and you've gotten into some, looked at the kind of industry, you've kind of cleaned some things up with the books and whatnot. And now, based on the metrics you're seeing, you've got this awesome valuation. Will you go will you talk to a business broker, or how will you go about business at this point?
Ideally, I'd like to stay away from the business brokerage just due to the fact that, once again, I've got people like Wayne around me that they've already been there, done it. He has my best interest completely. Wayne's known me. I'm the ripe age of 27. He's known me literally for over 15 years, and he has helped me in superior abundance. We don't pay him enough, but yeah, I've got a couple friends that are business brokers, which are the ones that I brought in to actually give me a legit, unbiased evaluation. And in the event that we need to go through them, we certainly will. But in the meantime, we'll explore different opportunities and just contact different companies that might be in the position to buy us.
Wow, man, that's incredible. Amazing, Carson. What a great story. And it's just so interesting. It's really valuable for our listeners. I really appreciate you getting into this, getting into some of the details and some of the numbers here of this, kind of business buy sell process. It's fascinating. I think a lot of our listeners are really interested in that. Amazing. Do you have kind of a date in mind? Are you hoping to get this done here? Realistically, do you think you get this done
And I tell
this
you,
year, next year?
yeah, I mean, ideally, if I had it my way, I'd like to see it, within a year. The other, like, once again, just inside baseball, I do have a really, really good job offer as a sales manager in a company that is outside of Nashville. So I'd like to not lose that offer, as well as see the rewards for, quote unquote, what I built over the last decade. But within a year, and then I guess another factor that into all this is I'm not entirely willing to GM the company. My understanding is most people will GM their company 6 to 9 months, even up to 12 months, and then, potentially buy out after that. But ideally, I would like to maybe go up to 6 months of GMing the company, making sure that everything, like the brand, stays strong, everyone, all the guys are taken care of, what have you. But aside from that, once it's done, I would like to, just let it be what it is. Hopefully everything goes well, what have you.
Okay. What does that mean to GM the company?
So general
It's
management, right? Which general
general manager
management,
in this
yeah,
context of like a sale. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, uh, as you would expect, like the GM of a restaurant, they do a lot of the work that's sitting there in front of them, but they're not managing the books. They're not necessarily on the hook the same way a business owner is day to day to day.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Amazing, Carson. Well, what a great story, man. And just a great share. If folks are in the Richmond area and are looking to work with Top Cut Lawn Landscaping, or actually want to get in touch with you potentially and bounce a couple of ideas off,
Yeah,
I mean, would you be open to someone contacting you, asking you some questions about, the business selling
absolutely.
process for landscaping company? Okay.
I mean,
Awesome. What are
yeah.
great, Carson? What are some of the best ways to get in touch with you?
So I don't know how the podcasting world goes. Honestly, my phone number and or Instagram, those are probably the quickest two ways to get a hold of me.
Great. What's the number?
It's 804-912-5530.
Okay, awesome. Well, fantastic. If you're in Richmond and looking for a great landscaping company to work with, get in touch with Carson. His number over there is 804-912-5530. We'd love to check back in here later on this year, man, and hear how things are going. We'd love to support you in that sale if we can.
Yeah, of course. Hey, thank you for having me.